And welcome to another edition of the Way Lessons, brought to you by yours truly. Sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning of the stream, but I have a lot of stuff on my mind. I just think about how we've been lied to, and if there's any way we can survive the coming storm, because right now is the calm before the storm. Hence, this video stream. So, without further ado, and of course, as usual, I have to repeat what I've been saying since the beginning of this series of videos, the Way Lessons. I am not the author of this book, these lessons, whatever you want to call them. I am just a messenger. I discovered these a very long time ago. Since then, the website had been shut down, and now the only way to view the original is through the website Wayback Machine. I took the information and took it upon myself to publish it in book form so that I would have always a record of it and it would be easy to access whenever needed. And because of the shenanigans of the New World Order and its perverse and, quite frankly, evil leaders, those who believe they were descended from the stars, their ancestors were heavenly gods. I don't know if it's real or not. I don't know if it's true or not. What I do know is that they believe it. The elite believe it. And what I do know is that they consider us their slaves and cattle. Well, not this guy right here, motherfuckers. I know who you are. So without further ado, I will continue the Way Lessons. We are at lesson 8 for those of you who are curious. Religion after the Great War. Author's note. I'm not the author. This is the calm before the storm. What are you expecting this message to be? In the last Way message, I demonstrated that 2 of the major belief doctrines of the world's largest religion, Christianity, were false. These were the belief in original sin and the prophetic nature of the book of Revelation. Undoubtedly, some out there are not too happy with that, and you better believe they're. But I'm happy that they're unhappy. Original sin is a cornerstone dogma upon which much of Christian philosophy is built. If, as I have shown you, it is a lie, and common sense should have told you this in the first place, then all that has evolved from it comes into question. Now, you must be saying to yourself, is he going to do the same thing to our messiahs? The answer is, of course, you bet. but not in the manner in which you fear. If you currently believe in one of the messiahs, then all I intend to say in the three-way messages dealing with the Messiah projects will not harm you. In order that you may understand my reasons for writing as I do, I think it important that you know what I know of religions. Since I have told you that all of mankind's religions came from advanced humans, aka aliens, from other planets, and that they were constructed as a slave control program, you may think I consider religions as bad or evil. You're right in the sense that I do think much associated with religion to be evil. That is, I consider the way man has used religion as a tool to control his fellow man, to be the ultimate act of evil. Religions were designed right from the start to enforce control over the masses. That's what they call you. I call you the asses. By their masters. Unfortunately, the reins of control simply changed hands. This is not what was meant to happen. After the Great War, and I'm not talking about World War I. If you want to know what the Great War means, go back to the earlier videos. The Doma, daughters of Ma, who had won control of the earth and all its inhabitants, decided to use religions as a means of teaching humankind the information necessary for him to achieve civilization. This learning process was to take place in two phases. First, rules of behavior, laws, would be given and time allowed for mankind's numbers to build. Later, when the basic structure of mankind's societies had been established, they would introduce a series of teachers, prophets, that would set forth the philosophies of advanced human civilization. These we can refer to as the Messiah projects. They were actually to achieve two functions. The first, as mentioned above, was to give humans the basic framework of theology necessary to become true human beings and not simply animals with the power of speech. The second was to introduce this information into separate societies with the intention of causing an exchange of information and cooperative study. The hope was that the different societies would see their particular theology as part of a larger whole, and so that they could fully benefit from the complete belief system, would share them with others. Thus, not only instructing man in higher order thought, but also introducing a unifying mechanism that would bring together her various peoples into a greater common cause. Beautiful, isn't it? You need only to take a look at the world around you to see how miserable the plan failed. Why? The reasons are both complex and many, but they can be generally summed up in the following statements. Religious philosophies define the belief patterns of a people. They provide the framework for advancement, integration, and social construction. Life is duality, male and female. Religion is a framework for uniting this duality into a higher state of existence known as one. The single greatest problem inhabiting Earth's advancement is that early on in its development, your religions were taken over and then dominated by one gender, the males. This effectively destroyed the primary purpose of uniting your male/female duality. Another problem is that men quickly realized the controlling power of religion. It became a tool to enhance their own power and egos. Also, instead of viewing what was given to them as part of a larger whole, they saw themselves as the sole proprietors of a single belief. Their pride led them to think such things as, we are special, we are the chosen. Sound familiar? The chosen people. They saw their part as the only part. All other ways must therefore be false. This led to the my God is better than your God way of thinking. Last but not least was the continued deification of the Doma and the teachers they sent. One of the main goals of the Doma wanted to achieve was to make humankind aware of other life in the universe, and to gradually wean them from their tendency to deify and worship the Doma and those they sent. This failed miserably. Not only did humankind still view their brothers and sisters from other worlds as gods, angels, demons, etc., but they also deified the teachers they sent by the Doma, as well as the Doma. The only exception, and therefore the only possible success, was Muhammad. Shocker! 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 Let me read that again. I know a lot of you have fainted. Oh God. I can only imagine. Some of you fainted. Some of you have jumped out of buildings from tall buildings. Some of you have slit your wrists. Some of you are having conniption fits. Some of you are angry right now. But let me read that again in case you didn't know. Not only did humankind still view their brothers and sisters from other worlds as gods, angels, demons, etc., but they also deified the teachers sent by the Doma, as well as the Doma. The only exception, and therefore the only possible success, was Muhammad. And that's right, I'm talking about Muhammad, the one you know. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. The followers of Islam believed in the teachings of the other prophets as well as the final prophet, Muhammad. They understood that there was in reality only one God. And that God was all, or Allah, 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 A-L-L-A-H, Allah. They even knew that it was the same God that was found in the religions of the other children of the books, the Jews and Christians. They received the final, most refined message given to man. Yet, you need only look around to see that it, like its other sister religions, has not lived up to its fullest potential. Finally, man himself has changed, edited, and added to the basic information given to him. In some cases, this was done simply to eliminate a belief or law that he did not agree with or want to adhere by. In another case, a much more sinister and destructive plan was in action. It involved the systematic and deliberate removal of any traces of the female origins of all the major religions. This was a result of the takeover of existing matriarchal religions by patriarchal forces. In the advanced human society that exists out there, the relationship of male and females is balanced. This is due to the fact that in a technologically advanced society, higher intellect rather than brute strength is the more important asset. The physical difference between male and female is not a key factor in determining their status. On Earth, it has been an overwhelming factor. Let me take a little swig of water before I lose my voice. It hasn't gotten crazy yet, y'all. The Doma originally set up temples to worship a female deity. The temples would be the means by which information could be given to Earth's people via their religions. Since the Doma were all female, the deity of a temple would also be female. Priestesses were chosen as well as male priests. The priestesses, though, had the major role. This type of operation lasted for many thousands of years. During that time, the Doma had extensive and direct involvement with mankind. They were able to physically intervene in many cases. Finally, however, there came the time when humankind needed to be left on his own. This was done to see whether, if given the necessary information, they could become advanced humans by their own actions. All Doma forces left the planet and mankind to its own devices. What happened next was a lesson in primitive social behavior. The Doma would not soon forget. One by one, the rapid succession, the leading female religions were taken over by males. In some cases, females were not only removed, but relegated to a social status below some livestock. The Doma learned a powerful lesson. Even though they had given humankind advanced societal concepts, man himself was still a primitive. They saw that the natural laws of societal development quickly took over everything they had achieved thus far. In a naturally evolving primitive society where physical strength is the only determining factor, it is only natural for the males to become dominant. This is the state of affairs at the present time. For a while, there was a brief 1500-year window when both female and male religious forces shared power. It was during those years that the Doma tried to introduce advanced human concepts. There were three main projects that took place. Each of these involved the breeding of an advanced Earth human. More Anunnaki DNA was added to him. This man was then instructed with as much advanced knowledge as he could handle. The breeding of these men involved the impregnation of the Earth human female, a priestess, with an embryo especially bred by the Doma genetic teams. The genes added to this Earth human were all from one Doma donor. Her name was Mara. And who else? What other name does she go under? Watch the last video. She is the mother of all three of these advanced humans. A priestess was taken, or rather, a priestess was then chosen from one of the temples to be the surrogate mother. The title of this priestess was the Virgin. Better hold on to your hats. You better sit down, all you people out there that think you following the right stuff. You've been lied to. The title of this priestess was the Virgin, meaning she belonged to no man. Since there was no sexual intercourse involved, all of these births were the result of immaculate conception. Today, the transplanting of a fertilized egg into a surrogate mother is no big deal. Back then, it was a gift from the gods. And who are the gods then? What do you call them? What other name the gods have, huh? Huh? Just checking out if y'all paying attention. Are you fucking putting things together, or are you just wasting your time and my time? I hope you're learning something. The names of these three men are Siddhartha Gautama, also known as the Buddha, Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus the Christ, and Muhammad. Of interest is the name of their mothers. Buddha's mother was Maya, the Great Virgin. Maya is the Hindu name for Isis. Jesus' mother's name was the Virgin Mary. Mary is again another name for Isis. Muhammad's mother is a bit harder. His father allegedly died at birth. Jesus' father disappears after he was born. Muhammad's mother, however, is never mentioned officially by name. She is supposed to have died 6 years after his birth. Ancient legends say that he was born to a mystical virgin whose identity was later changed to be his sister. This woman's name was Fatima. Now you know why the Virgin Mary chose that little town in Portugal, because it was named after her, Fatima. Fatima was the name for the goddess. It means the creatress or the moon. Again, it is another name for Isis. You're beginning to see why our so-called government is calling terrorist groups ISIS. Someone's been lying to you. Why? Why? Why is the synagogue of Satan going after the goddess? This is the real war that's going on, y'all. This is the real war that's going on. You have no idea. You have no idea. I hope this proves to those Christians and Jews out there who deny the validity of Muhammad that indeed he was a legitimate prophet of the Most High. He was sent by the same one who sent Jesus. It is at this point that the greatest danger lies for misunderstanding what I have to tell you. It is especially important that you understand exactly what I mean here. Pay attention. If not, then all the rest of what I say will be misunderstood. If that should happen, I would be greatly saddened, and also she who sent me. This would be through no fault of yours nor hers, but mine alone. This is the author of the book talking. I have told you that these three men were sent by the same person, the goddess, to instruct humankind in the word of the Most High. It has always been assumed that God himself sent these men. If then they were in reality sent by a goddess, it would be logical for you to assume that I am saying this goddess is God or the Most High. I am not. Let me repeat that. I want no chance of error or misinterpretation. I am not saying that the goddess who sent you these men is the God. What I am saying is this: a very advanced and benevolent person who loves each and every one of you as her own children wanted to bring you the knowledge of the Most High God, the One, Allah. She existed long before humankind was even capable of thinking about the existence of a supreme force in the universe. It is the knowledge that she and her entire race have learned about God that was to be given to you through these teachers. They, just as you believe, they, just as you, believe in this supreme power. They call it the One. And just as Muhammad said, there is only one God, Allah. Allah means one God. You have been taught the law and commandments of God. You, as an enlightened person, are expected to bring this knowledge to others of your kind. It is God's will that you share this gift. Is it really so surprising then that our brothers and sisters who exist out there would share this knowledge with you? They are following the will of God in doing so. Will you blame them for doing so? The message did come from God. It just went through one more step in its travels to your ear than you were aware of. The messenger has changed. The message has not. The source remains unchangeable. The problem then is this: over the years, your brothers and sisters, the human race, have tried to relay to you their knowledge of God. They have tried to make you understand what it is to be human and what your place is in this universe. The knowledge that they have of God and humanity's struggle to be one with God are advanced concepts. The problem is that you saw these fellow humans and deified them. And you're still deifying human beings, aren't you? Still doing it. Still worshiping Kanye. That son of a bitch goes around calling himself Jesus. What is it? Actually equates himself. This cuckoo bastard actually equates himself with Jesus. You're still deifying all those singers over there at those Grammys last weekend, huh? Whether you know it or not, you're worshiping them. You're deifying them. You ever wonder why they're called stars? What are stars? You look up at stars, don't you? You look up to them. You looking up to Miley Cyrus? You looking up to Kim Kardashian? These whores of the Illuminati? It is true that long ago your ancestors were simply overwhelmed and awed at their level of technology. They had no concept of space travel. They had a legitimate excuse for mistaking them for gods. You do not. To make matters even worse, you have taken the human teachers members of your own world, sent to you by them, and deified them also. My friends, I know these men displayed abilities of healing and other miracles beyond the scope of normal human experience. They had knowledge that even to the poorest of intellect could only have come from a higher source. But these abilities and qualities of existence were not meant to show you what it is to be godlike. They were to show you something much more precious and valuable to all of you. These men did not come to show you how a God acts, but what it is to be human. The true human race exists out there among the stars. It is there that you too will one day go. You are a small part of the race known as humanity, and you will not be fully human until the teachings of these great men and those who sent them by God's will is found in each and every one of your hearts. For thousands of years you have fought one another, even killed one another, in the name of religion and in the foolishness of pride. To kill another man for not obeying your God's commandment not to kill. Is this what God's word has taught you? To sit in judgment over your fellow man. Are you truly that wise? To think that the power and word of God was limited to the ears of a chosen few? Is this the unlimited power of God? Would God see only forwards, ignoring the sides and back? Are all these things I have just spoken of the result of man's own limiting hand and short-sightedness? People, the time has come to stop killing one another in any God's name. This is what she who sent me wishes you to know. It is time to re-examine who you really are. It is time for you to take the gift of the teachings of these great men and use them as they were intended. Use them together to lift up and bring into the light all of God's children on this world. See in their parts the power. See in their parts the power of the whole. They have and always will be the means to bring you together, not drive you apart. They are the wisdom of God, as your brothers and sisters have known it, as they have been commanded to share with you. The time has come for you to be as you were intended to be, one. It is time for you to join the human race. Your mother and all your brothers and sisters send their love and wish you peace in all your faith. In every land, in every place that the light of God still exists. Ah, there goes YouTube. Sabotaging my stream again. You're doing a good job, YouTube. A closing thought from the author, who is not I. I'm just reading. I hope that the way messages have been helpful to you so far. If some have felt uneasy or afraid by the message they contain, I am sorry. I cannot change the words I am commanded to write. She who sent me cannot be disobeyed, nor would I wish to. The next way messages will deal with the individual teachers that were sent to you and the messages that they tried to teach. My intentions are simple. They are to show you that the words of these teachers truly speak They are to show you that the words of these teachers truly speak of the Word of God, that they are all of the same source, that they must be looked at in a new way, that they must be combined into one way, for all humankind to benefit from them. Out of the many, there shall come one. This is the way. God. To place oneself in the position of God is painful. Being God is equivalent to being tortured. For being God means that one is in harmony with all that is, including the worst. The existence of the worst evils is unimaginable unless God willed them. Georges Bataille interview with the French novelist critic. What preoccupies us then is not God as a fact of nature, but as a fabrication useful for a God-fearing society. God himself becomes not a power but an image. Daniel J. Bornstein, U.S. historian. I'm quoting these people. If God is male, then male is God. The divine patriarch castrates women as long as he is allowed to live on in the human imagination. Mary Daly, U.S. educator, writer, theologian. Why indeed must God be a noun? Why not a verb, the most active and dynamic of all? Again, Mary Daly, U.S. educator, writer, theologian. God is subtle, but he is not malicious. Albert Einstein, German-born U.S. theoretical physicist. What is God? Sounds like such a simple little question, doesn't it? The above quotations captured the varied sentiment regarding the nature of God. Some loved God, some hate God. None understand God. There are only two concepts the human mind is incapable of perceiving. One, absolute everything. Two, absolute nothing. In between these two concepts is the thing we call life. Encompassing both these concepts is God, Alpha and Omega, beginning and end. Absolutely everything and absolutely nothing. Muhammad was a prophet of God. He said there was only one God. Jesus was a prophet of God. He said there was only one God. There is an Egyptian amulet in a museum in Cairo. On the front is Isis. Seated on her lap is the divine child. Underneath is the inscription, "The fruit I have brought forth is the Son." S-U-N. On the back, there is no picture, just the simple words, "One God in heaven." Isis was a prophet of God. But what is God really? Is God a painting on the ceiling of a building somewhere? Is he white? Is she black? What is God, really? Here are some of my perceptions of what God really is and is not. Like all perceptions of God, they are a personal reflection on that which I cannot really perceive, but only wonder upon in quieter moments. God is everything that can be, what was, what is, what will be. God is both sides of the mirror. God cannot be limited. God is not male nor female. God is both. God cannot be contained within the boundaries of a name. God has no use for names. God knows it is God that you wish to speak with. Somewhere an old man lies dying, his last breath slowly escaping. This is the sigh of God. Somewhere there is a woman and man who gaze upon their face, the face of their child, and for the first time, this is the purpose of God. Somewhere there is a person smiling like a snake at having gained from the suffering inflicted on another. This is the anger of God. Somewhere a person turns back around and extends a helping hand after all. This is the hope of God. Somewhere a person thinks they judge another. This is God's irony. Somewhere there is a child who, having just been comforted, falls safely to sleep. The parent looks down at the softly sleeping form and feels the purest form of love in the universe. This is the love of God. Somewhere a small child cries quietly, quivering in fear, watching the door. This is the anguish of God. Somewhere there is a person on the other side of a door. This is the rage of God. Somewhere a star is somewhere a star is born and a star explodes. A galaxy forms and two galaxies collide. A grain of sand turns over. This is the poetry of God. Somewhere a baby is born healthy. This is the grace of God. Somewhere one perceives all these things. This is the mind of God. God is not, nor ever was, a single man or woman. All women and all men are the parts. God is the whole, greater than the sum of the parts. God is the source and the destination of all flow. There is nothing that God perceives as unforgivable. Failure does not exist in God's vocabulary. God hears every cry, every laugh, every word, every prayer, and God knows when it is important to listen. Whenever an act of kindness, compassion, or love takes place, God becomes visible. God believes in those who don't, no less than in those who do. God makes no demands, sets no limits, and has never asked repayment. God exists because you exist. God is creation. When you create, God increases. If there was but one thing left in the entire universe, a single kind act, God would exist. God is all that is good in all of us. These are my perceptions of God. Limited though they are, each of you is a part of God. If God represents the light of creation, then each and every one of you is a candle. Evil is a cold, dark wind. Evil is the darkness. The wind blows strong sometimes, causing you to flutter, causing your light to diminish. God is a shield against the howling wind. Remember, darkness in itself is only the absence of light. There may be different colors of light, but all accomplish the same thing. They all remove the darkness. Let your light be a beacon to others. Shine brightly in this world of shadows. This is the purpose of the One. This is the light and the way. God does not care which religion you belong to, and neither do I. What is important is that you know what is important is that you now act as one. God is the purest of all light, the purity of white. Your faith is a single color of light. The purity of white can only be achieved by the merging of all colors into one. Be one in the light. Peace. Mahdi. I'll end on that note. A lot has been revealed today. I want you to think about what you just heard, reflect on it, and ask yourself, is that what you've been taught in your churches, in your synagogues, in your mosques? No. What you've been taught in those places is the complete opposite. Now, the question you have to ask yourself, who's pulling the strings? Who's the one teaching you the opposite in all these various religions? What is their goal? Having y'all hate each other. You better ask somebody. You better ask somebody. You better find out. Because you're all being led to the slaughter. That's the truth, Ruth. That's the truth, Ruth. Till next time. Till all are one.